begin by asking a question. We talk a lot about statistics. What's the most important statistic of a church? What is it that measures the strength and the vitality of a church? I know when I'm out, people will ask so often, well, gee, what's your membership? And sometimes we think, well, the strength and growth and vitality of a church is in its membership. But yet the problem that we run into there is simply the fact that in any church, not all the membership participates. There are those who are out of town, those who are homebound, those who, for various reasons, aren't here, or those who choose not to be a part of that process, a part of the church, and usually it's just a percentage. So I'm not sure we can really say that membership is what makes the church vital and strong. Even attendance. We can come and we can attend and we can sing the songs and listen to the prayers and read the scriptures and take notes and all the other stuff. But I'm not sure even that is the best measure of vitality and strength in the church. I think really a more accurate statistic for us to consider, and something that really measures the power and strength of the church, is how many people find their spiritual gifts and utilize that gift, and utilize those gifts for the glory of God. Discovering our spiritual gift or giftedness and using it for the glory of God. I think that's where the vitality and the power of the church really lies. That's the strength of the church, finding out the gift, using that gift. And over the next several weeks, I want to do a series talking about stepping out and moving on, and moving out in our faith. And today I want to talk about letting God's Spirit move in. Letting God's Spirit move in. Next week, I'm going to talk about letting the pastor move over. I like that one. The next one is letting the laity move up. And the last one is letting the church move out. I think there are some things that we might be able to understand and grow from all these things. When these things happen, I think we have vitality and strength in any congregation. John MacArthur, he's a pastor, and one time he said, no local congregation will be what it should be, what Jesus prayed that it should be, what the Holy Spirit gifted and empowered it to be, until it understands spiritual gifts. But I don't think that's complete. I think there needs to be an addition to that statement. Because you see, it's a tremendous thing, no doubt about it. But it's not just understanding our spiritual gifts. It's utilizing those gifts. To putting those gifts into practice. It's more than just knowing that God's gifted us. Every one of us here, everyone in this room today, whether you believe it or not, you're gifted. God has given you at least one, if not multiple, gifts to be utilized. But the important part is not just understanding those spiritual gifts, but putting them into practice, putting them into use in the work of ministry for the glory of God. Not our glory, not to focus on any one or two individuals or groups, but it's to give God the glory in our lives. That's crucial for understanding God's gifts and why we use them. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and 3, Paul talks about different groupings of individuals. And all of us, at some point in time, fit in one or more of these groupings. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But I think the real key is what Paul tells us in chapter 3, verse 3. And his statement there, I think, is very pivotal to what we want to talk about, because he simply asks the question, are you not walking like ordinary men? Are you not just walking like ordinary men? In other words, Paul's amazed as he looks at the church. Because Paul looks at the church, and this is back at the church in Corinth. He looks at the church and he doesn't see a difference. He doesn't see any difference. He doesn't see spiritual power. He doesn't see spiritual anointing by God for the work of ministry. He says, he looks at the people, he says, are you just walking like ordinary people? In other words, what's the difference? What's the difference? And it's something that's gone on for centuries, and And I think it's something that is affecting so many churches today throughout our country and throughout the world. Just in our country alone, I was looking at some statistics. I didn't realize this, but statistics read that between 3,500 and 4,000 churches close each year. That's about 10 churches a day, with the average attendance being about 75. What's going on? What's happening? I think there's an issue that we really need to consider. You know, when we're away on vacation, especially when we go to North Myrtle Beach, we always go to the same church because it's just a great church to go and good worship, and they do a lot of neat things there. But I like an illustration that the pastor had given. He talked about the domestication of dogs. The domestication of dogs. He said he was watching a news article or a news show one time. They're talking about that and the origin of domesticated dogs. And through the article that they were the show that was presenting this, these domesticated dogs have their origin in wolves. And one article I saw specifically cited gray wolves. But it talked about the nature of those wolves. They're very aggressive. They're very aggressive. They're very focused. They know their target. They know their prey. They know how to go after that prey, and they're relentless in their pursuit of that prey. They know what they were designed to do and what they were built to do, and they aggressively fulfill that pattern, and they do it. But along comes man, and we decided, we need someone to help us. We need an animal that can help us, at our work, can help us in hunting, can be something that we can have, a social animal that we can have as a pet. And so we've taken that aggressiveness out of those wolves, and we've tamed it down. We've tamed it down. And our dog, our little dog, his aggressiveness is licking your hand and rolling over wanting his belly rubbed. He's totally tamed. But the danger for us comes in the fact that in many ways, that's exactly what we've done to the gospel. We've taken a gospel that is aggressive, that is focused, that knows what needs to be done, and goes out there and accomplishes its task with power and with strength and ferocity. And we've tamed it. We've tamed it. We've tamed it to fit what we want it to fit, to be what we want it to be. And I think that's a danger we need to watch and be careful of. Because there's power in this gospel. There's power in this word. Jesus said this is a two-edged sword. It cuts deeply and it cuts finely right to the very root and the heart of life itself. We tamed it to the point where it doesn't have the power that God desires. This was happening in the church in Corinth. That's happening in the church of Corinth. And the problem is that when that happens, we as Christians, we end up living beneath the power that God has assigned us to have within our lives. We live beneath that power. John chapter 10, there's a verse in there. Jesus said, I came that you may have life, and have it abundantly. The question for us is, which side of that comma do we live? Do we just have life? Or do we have life abundantly? And that abundance of life comes in the power of that gospel and God's Spirit. And that's what Paul begins to talk about here in these verses that we read earlier this morning from 1 Corinthians. He talks about that. Are we just living, or are we really living? Are we really living in the power and the presence of God's Spirit in our lives? And he talks about three distinctions here. First, he talks about the unspiritual man. The unspiritual man. He says the unspiritual man, or the natural man, he does not receive the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to him. And he cannot understand them because they are spiritually appraised or evaluated.